Have you ever felt like you were being peeled away from the world? Like people faded, plans collapsed, and you were left in silence? Not because you failed, but because something or someone was pulling you into a different space. What if I told you that moment, that isolation, that heartbreak, that confusion wasn't a punishment? It was preparation. It was protection. It was purification. You see, Allah, in His infinite wisdom, sometimes isolates the souls He chooses. He removes them from noise, distraction, even relationships, so they can be shaped in solitude. Not everyone will understand this process, and not everyone is invited into it. But if you've ever felt like you were walking alone with nothing but tears and tawakkul, you might just be one of them. Today, we uncover 7 powerful reasons why Allah isolates His chosen ones. Reasons buried deep in the Quran, in prophetic history, and in real lives happening right now across the globe. And if you've ever wondered why Allah pulled you away from the world, this video is for you. Have you ever experienced this kind of divine isolation? What's one moment in your life where isolation made you closer to Allah? Tag someone who's feeling lost, remind them. Maybe they're being prepared, not punished. Reason 1. Purification of the soul. Before Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam reached power, before he stood in the palace, he sat in a prison cell, alone, falsely accused, torn from his family, trapped between walls that echoed with silence. And he remained in prison for several years. Surah Yusuf 42. But what the world saw as confinement, Allah saw as refinement. That prison cell was not a punishment. It was a sacred crucible, where his soul was purified, his vision sharpened, and his faith solidified. Yusuf entered that prison as a beloved son, but he left it as a man trusted with dreams, leadership, and wisdom, a man who would eventually save a nation. This is how Allah purifies the souls He chooses, not with applause, but with isolation. Look around today. Countless young Muslims are choosing solitude over sin. Sisters walking away from friendships just to wear hijab. Brothers leaving behind fame and friends to stop music or drugs. New converts crying alone in their rooms because their families don't understand their shahada. They feel abandoned, but in truth, they are being purified. Allah removes the noise so He can tune your heart to His voice. He breaks attachments so He can rebuild your identity on La ilaha illallah. He cuts away everything false to reveal what's real, and this is never easy. Purification comes through pain, but the result is light. You start praying not because others are watching, but because your soul needs it. You begin to crave the Quran more than company, and for the first time, you feel your heart breathing. It's in this solitude that sincerity is born. Not the Islam of performance, but the Islam of connection. Pure, quiet, strong. This is why Allah isolates the ones He loves, to purify them in ways the world will never understand. Allah removes so He can replace. Let Him clean your heart in silence. Drop a heart in the comments if you've ever felt alone while purifying your soul. Or share a time when you chose Allah over comfort and how it changed you. Reason 2. Preparation for leadership. Long before Prophet Musa alayhi salam stood on Mount Sinai, before he led Bani Israel out of Egypt, before he challenged a tyrant with, "Go to Pharaoh, for he has transgressed," he was alone, fugitive, exiled, unknown, hidden in the land of Madian for 10 long years. And we tested you with trials, and you stayed for years among the people of Madian. Then you came at the decreed time, O Moses. Surah Taha 40. Why would Allah isolate one of his greatest prophets? Because great leadership requires great inner work. Musa was not just learning to tend sheep. He was learning sabr. He was developing humility. He was being stripped of ego, pride, and worldly identity. You see, real leaders are not made in public. They are carved in the shadows. They are born in silence, in rejection, in years where no one sees their efforts, except Allah. Today, the pattern continues. Some of the most impactful scholars and dawah figures began in deep isolation. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, his most profound writings came from prison. Malik bin Nabi shaped his revolutionary thoughts in solitude. Countless modern-day leaders, spending months in khalwa, far from social media, far from praise, just them and the Quran. And maybe you're experiencing this too. You're not invited, you're not seen, you're not celebrated, but what if your current obscurity is your divine training ground? Allah may be keeping you low so your heart can grow high. He may be hiding you until you're strong enough to carry what others cannot. Before Musa could guide a nation, he had to shepherd himself. Before he could confront Pharaoh, he had to conquer his own fear. That is the leadership Allah shapes, not loud, but lasting. Your obscurity may be your preparation. The cave you're in today may lead you to a mountain tomorrow. Type leader in the comments if you feel Allah is shaping you in the dark. Or tell us, what do you feel Allah is preparing you for in this quiet season of your life? Reason 3. Detachment from the dunya. There are moments in life where you don't walk away from the world. The world becomes so dark, you run. The people of the cave, Ashab al-Kahf, were just young men, but they lived in a time of intense corruption, idol worship, and societal pressure. And instead of blending in, they chose something harder. They escaped. So they took refuge in the cave, and Allah spread His mercy for them. Surah Al-Kahf 16. They didn't isolate for comfort. They isolated to protect their fitrah, to preserve their iman, to guard their souls in a world that was devouring hearts. And today, we're seeing this story replay itself in new digital forms. Youth turning off TikTok. Sisters deleting Instagram because of the endless parade of half-dressed influencers. Brothers walking away from gaming, music, or endless reels just to feel alive again. Some are even fasting from the internet, not because they're old-fashioned, but because they're starving for purity. The dunya, with all its glamour, is a trap disguised as entertainment. And Allah, in His mercy, sometimes pulls you away from it. He lets friendships fall apart. He makes parties feel empty. He turns your heart away from things you once chased, not to punish you, but to protect you. Because when Allah wants to give you clarity, He removes the world's chaos. Just like the youth in the cave, He may be placing you in solitude so your iman can breathe, so you can taste what it's like to live clean, quiet, whole. And yes, the cave is lonely, but it's better than being devoured by a society addicted to sin. Some of you watching this have been feeling it already. The pull, the fatigue from fake pleasure, the disgust from things that once entertained you. That's not weakness, that's awakening. And Allah only awakens the ones He loves. If Allah is pulling you away from dunya, let Him. Let the noise die. Let your soul rise. Comment if you've been escaping the toxic noise of today's world. Or tell us, what's one thing you gave up that brought you closer to Allah? Reason 4. Elevation through pain. She was pure, she was chosen, she was beloved by Allah. Yet Maryam alayhi salam was left alone in the wilderness, pregnant. terrified, in unbearable pain. And the pains of childbirth drove her to the trunk of a palm tree. She said, "Oh, I wish I had died before this, and was in oblivion, forgotten." Surah Maryam 23. Let that sink in. A woman who had done nothing wrong was isolated, in agony, with no human support. This is divine isolation at its rawest and realest. But in that moment of anguish, something sacred happened. Maryam wasn't just giving birth to a child, she was giving birth to a miracle. To Isa alayhi salam, one of the greatest prophets in history. And her name, it lives on forever in the Quran, as a symbol of faith, courage, and elevation through pain. Pain, when endured with faith, becomes honor in the eyes of Allah. Look around today. There are women who walk this path still. Single mothers raising righteous children in silence. Sisters facing childbirth or motherhood without support, without family, without applause. But with tawakkul, they cry alone at night, but their du'as shake the heavens. One sister shared, "When I gave birth alone, I felt abandoned. But in sujood, I realized Allah never left me. That pain made me who I am." Pain in isolation is not weakness. It's sacred. It's transformational. Allah doesn't waste your tears. He elevates you through them. Because what is born through pain often carries the most barakah. Whether you're grieving a loss, enduring betrayal, struggling through sickness, or raising a child on your own, know this. Your pain has purpose, and your isolation may be the birthplace of your greatest contribution. Your pain isn't pointless, it's prophetic. Let the pain push you to Allah, and watch how He pulls you higher. Have you ever grown through pain? Share your story below. Someone might need your words more than you know. Reason 5. Tawakkul training. He stood alone. His people betrayed him. His own father rejected him. And now, tied in chains, he was thrown into a fire. But Prophet Ibrahim upon him be peace didn't flinch. He didn't plead for help. He didn't scream for mercy. He simply whispered, "Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil." Allah is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs. Surah Al-Imran 173. And what did Allah do? He commanded the fire to be cool and peaceful. The laws of physics bent for tawakkul. That's the power of trusting Allah when there's nothing and no one else. Today, that same fire burns in different ways. Refugees walk barefoot across borders, leaving everything behind, yet clinging to dua. Mothers in Gaza cradle their children under bombs, whispering Hasbunallah through the rubble. The Rohingya, exiled from their homes, left with only tents and tears, but still praying Fajr in the mud. These aren't just stories of tragedy. They are masterclasses in tawakkul. Because when the world walks away, Allah steps in closer. That's what isolation teaches. When you're stripped of every illusion of control, you're trained to hold on to the only one truly in control. Sometimes, your career fails. Your friends disappear. Family stops calling. Your dreams collapse. And in that silence, Allah is saying, "Now it's just me and you." When there's no one left, Allah remains. Tawakkul is born when everything else is gone. Comment trust if you've experienced moments where only Allah was with you. Or share, when did you learn to trust Allah the most? Reason 6. Protection from corruption. Prophet Lut, alayhi salam, wasn't weak. He wasn't socially awkward. He wasn't out of place. He was righteous, living in a place that wasn't. Indeed, they are a people of lewdness. Surah Al-Ankabut 28. He stood against the norms. He didn't blend in. He didn't soften the truth. He preached purity in a culture drowning in open sin, but for that, he was isolated. His people normalized what Allah forbade. They were proud of their rebellion. And Lut was made to feel like he was the strange one. But he wasn't being rejected. He was being protected. Today, we see a similar storm rising again. Practicing Muslims in the West, working professionals, students, parents, pressured to accept or promote LGBTQ ideologies. Sisters mocked for their modesty. Brothers labeled as intolerant for holding to clear boundaries. You're made to feel like the outsider, simply for obeying Allah. But this isolation isn't loss, it's mercy. Because when a society becomes spiritually toxic, Allah sometimes pulls His servants out of the crowd to protect their fitra. Being excluded by a corrupted system may just be your spiritual survival. Just like Lut, you're not alone. You're not strange. You're chosen. Being excluded by the corrupted is divine mercy. When the world gets dark, Allah keeps His light bearers separate. Have you ever felt like an outsider just for practicing Islam? Let us know. Your courage might inspire someone to stand firm today. Reason 7. Divine intimacy. Before he was the messenger, before the Quran came down, before the angels surrounded him, the Prophet Muhammad was just a man, a seeker, alone in a cave, wrapped in silence, no audience, no followers, no companions, just him and his Lord. Read in the name of your Lord who created. Surah Al-Alaq 1. In the cave of Hira, far from the city, far from society, the first words of divine light descended upon a heart that had been emptied of the world. This wasn't coincidence. This was divine design. Because intimacy with Allah, real soul-shaking closeness, is almost always born in isolation. And every Ramadan, that experience repeats itself. In the stillness of itikaf, in the corners of empty masjids, believers cry. No phones, no status, just them and Allah. Some of the deepest transformations happen when no one's watching. When your heart is exposed before the one who made it. When the distractions are peeled away and only dua, dhikr, and tears remain. Sometimes Allah isolates you not to test you, but to invite you. He clears the room, closes the doors, mutes the noise, so your soul can hear again. And in that silence, you don't feel empty, you feel filled. One brother said,